The University of Miami is one of the universities with the most diversity in the U.S. With more than 49 different countries represented on campus, we are the global leaders in education in international studies. It's time to celebrate our differences because they bring us together.
Colombia.
Indian. Dominicana.
Black man.
Rwanda.
I am Ghanaian.
I'm Venezuelan, I'm gay, I'm a mixed race human being.
I'm Indo-Caribbean, I was born in Guyana.
I identify as Antiguan.
I identify as Indian.
I'm black.
I'm Cuban, Puerto Rican, and Caribbean.
Asian. I'm Indian.
I identify as black.
I'm American, a musician, and I'm gay.
I identify as black.
I celebrate my identity through a lot of ways, by vacationing to Puerto Rico, Cuba, experiencing firsthand the culture, my family, music, the food. There's so much that embodies my culture, and any way that I can get in touch with it, being here, I definitely take advantage of.
I love watching Bollywood movies with my cousins from India and fangirling over all of the Indian actors. It's so fun.
I celebrate my identities by being an active participant in my community, both as an immigrant, as a gay person, and as a mixed race human being. I just make sure that I'm advocating for all of my groups and for groups that I'm not a part of.
I celebrate my culture by participating in various festivals throughout the year and dancing and also speaking the language.
I believe that the music that is a part of my culture makes it really, really beautiful as well. To add on that, it got the spice. It makes everything nice.
I usually listen to a lot of Spanish music every day, bachata and merengue, and I love to eat my Hispanic food, my Dominican food, mango con lote golpe, rice and beans. But here on campus, I attend the events with my fellow Hispanic members and just have fun.
Something really big that we do is something called Carnival, and it's really also big in Brazil and Trinidad, and basically everybody dresses up and there's a lot of different types of music, and it's a huge festival that happens in the fall.
Celebrate your culture through different religious prayers and also through cultural festivities such as Garba by dressing up in ethnic clothes and eating different types of food that originated from India and celebrating our different gods and religious people.
We celebrate my culture through many different events, some being such as Independence Day, where we have food fairs and different events that incorporate the students as well as people who are elderly that know the culture really well. We also have Carnival, where we have many different parties and fets. We also have competitions for calypsonians and soca artists. We have Carnival Queen and many different pageants and just a bunch of parties in the streets.
I like to cook. I love to cook Colombian dishes all the time.
Well, everything's black culture. Music, food, important people, figures in America. It's everywhere. So everything you see is influenced by black culture.
So my story or my journey of getting to UM, for my bachelor's degree, I earned my degree from Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. And I was in the environmental science program, and throughout my 4 years there, it wasn't very diverse. So in order to get into an environment that was a little more inclusive and welcoming, I attended Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, Florida. And while it was a relief to be in an environment where I felt like I belonged, Tallahassee itself is just too slow of a lifestyle for me. So when I was applying for PhD programs, I applied to 5 different schools, and the University of Miami was at the top of my list. Obviously because it has a great program, but also because the city of Miami is just diverse and exciting, and that was a major draw for me. Being a black woman has shaped almost every aspect of my life, how I navigate through life and my career and even through my research. When I think about my family, I think about how much our history is kind of tied to slavery and oppression. And so growing up, when people talked about being excited about the countries they were from and representing the flags, it was hard to come to terms with the fact that I wouldn't know necessarily the original country that my ancestors were from. Part of embracing my culture and getting to know it was then embracing my natural hair. So when I was in college, that's when I went natural, and I discovered my natural hair texture and all the different ways that I can wear it. And instead of centering my hair care around European standards of beauty, I was able to begin to, figure out what black hair is like. I think about my culture. Obviously, I think about black art and music and fashion. But in my family, education is also a really big part of our culture. Getting a degree was something that we were told we had to do from the time we could understand it. So I think people often assume that I'm a first generation college student, but really in my family, we have lots of terminal degrees in terms of MDs and MBAs, and so education was always a central part of our family's culture and how we pursued a career. My parents were also super supportive about what career path I took, and I think that because we have a history of having degrees, I had the freedom of being able to choose which path that I wanted. And the same with my siblings. They got degrees in art history and psychology, and I think having education is such an important part of our family dynamic. There have been lots of obstacles that I've had to overcome. Just being a black woman, I've had to learn how to manage being in a field that sometimes perpetuates sexism, misogyny, racism, and I've had to do it all with a smile on my face. An obstacle in my career, I guess, is learning how to balance between being strong and being polite and being assertive and not being perceived as angry. So I think learning how to manage or deal with being in a predominantly white male field has had me constantly feeling like I need to prove myself that I belong here. But when I look at my accomplishments over the years and the research that I do, I know I contribute meaningful things to the science, and that's because I'm a black woman and not despite it. I hope people see my black hair, my brown skin, but I also hope that they see a marine scientist. Growing up watching like Animal Planet and Discovery Channel, you always see scientists chasing sharks, and they're always, or usually, white men or white women. So I hope that when people see me and see this interview, they see a marine scientist. 2020 has been a whirlwind. Because of the pandemic, I've lost a lot of family members, and I've seen my parents have to lose family members, and not being able to attend funerals and be with my family has been a struggle. I think for everyone, being confined to their homes is hard and can be frustrating. I guess 2020 has also impacted my research in that I haven't been able to travel and collect my samples like I typically do. So I'm a bit worried that my degree progress is going to be pushed back. My graduation date might be pushed back. But at the same time, I've kind of enjoyed not having so much on my plate all at the same time. I've been able to focus on hobbies that I enjoy. I started a very extensive plant collection, and I enjoy taking care of those plants and getting out into nature and being able to do more simple things, going hiking and going biking, and not worrying about when's my next test and when's my next meeting and do I have to go to campus for something, and balancing all those things can sometimes be difficult. So it's been a bit of a break, and I've enjoyed that. I think it's important to support communities outside of our own, because when we look at the history of this country, which was only desegregated about 60 years ago, we have to think about communities that haven't had equal access to certain resources like education and healthcare and even clean water. We need to learn how to support each other and understand each other's backgrounds and cultures, so that when we are trying to create an inclusive environment, we know the types of people that are in that environment and the hardships that they've had to face. And I think through learning about other communities and supporting each other, that's how you learn compassion and being understanding and learning how to be more welcoming. And that's how we can, I guess, get around to dismantling systemic racism and creating a place where everyone feels like they belong. Being a black woman in marine science is just, being a black woman in science in general is hard. People often try to make you feel like you don't belong or push you towards an easier career or a different path. And so being able to manage and push through inherent sexism and misogyny that just happens in education and our career. Having the fortitude to keep going when everyone tells you to stop definitely describes my journey.
Another way UM embraces our identities is through the LGBTQ Center, which is here not only to spread awareness, but also to help students in need.
Center, we focus on creating an awareness and education, but we also provide a much needed support for this community. For a lot of our students who are LGBTQ, it's not something that's visible, like our race or even our gender at times. So for a lot of our students, they may be struggling while they're here on campus in terms of trying to find community. We work with students on a one-on-one basis when, they are outed or they come out and maybe, their family's not receptive or they get kicked out. Or they need financial support. So our office, aside from doing a lot of the programs and initiatives that we talked about, we're also here as a support and a resource and really an advocate for our students who find themselves in difficult situations, who have been, ostracized or discriminated against because of their gender or sexuality. So our office, although, it's a small office of 3 with our administrative assistant, and then we have our student staff. We do a lot where we not only help our students with their academics, but we also help them with their personal experiences and again, so they can feel that they belong here at the U.
My identity as a musician is most important to me. I wanted to go to school for music, and I was looking at the best music programs in the country, and I wanted to go to a big city, and Miami just ended up being the best choice for me. Really good program, close to a big city, and it's really different than what it's like at home for me, which is Pennsylvania, so it just checked all the boxes for where I wanted to go. My musicianship impacts me in every way. It's something that I do every single day in my life. The experiences I've learned from doing music and the people I've met through music, there are people who I'm best friends with or that I really look up to, a constant inspiration for me. So I'm always taking what I learned from those people and using that in my life. I hope when people see me, they see someone who's a really kind person, who's a really passionate person, and just someone who truly cares about what she's doing, and also someone who puts a positive attitude into the world. With COVID, I feel like it's been hard to find motivation in the way that I had before, especially with music. Live performance isn't happening right now, so it's been hard to think about the future and what that really means in terms of my career. In the Frost School of Music, everyone has a place to use their voice, and there are a lot of different kinds of people using their voice. I think diversity is so important. When everyone comes together and contributes their different perspectives, it really adds to the community. Previously in my life, I never had the opportunity to be around such a diverse group of people. I feel like being at UM has opened my world up to that diversity and allowed me to see the awesome benefits that come from such great diversity.
Languages play a huge part in almost every culture in the globe. Our languages play a huge role in our diversity.
My language is a really pretty language. We have very unique words. My favorite word is saudades, which briefly means I miss you, but it has a much deeper meaning than that. It's a thing you feel in the bottom of your heart. I think coming to the United States has been a great challenge, especially adapting to American culture. Even though Miami has a very great Latin community, I feel like sometimes it's a bit difficult to get used to the American way of life. So I think that's the biggest obstacle that I had to overcome. I was a transfer student, so I did 1 year at the University of Campinas in Brazil. Then my dad got a job offer at the University of Miami, so he suggested that I tried to transfer here. So I got accepted and the whole family came. So since then it's been a journey. I transferred here during the spring. I didn't feel like I chose UM. The Latin community here in Miami is very strong, and I feel very passionate about that. So I think in a way, Miami chose me. I think I try to navigate my life and look for people that have similar values than me and what Brazilian culture has. So I try to connect to most Brazilians as I can. So here at I'm part of BRASA, which is the Brazilian Student Association. I'm the chair of social events. That really helps me grow my community here, and I feel like that's part of who I am now. I feel like everyone has something to add to this world, and we all need to support each other as much as we can. We should have compassion to everyone, especially now during COVID. People's compassionate side has shown a lot more. taught me that it's okay to be different and that all the different communities should be together and celebrate our diversities. And that there is a space for everyone here. So for example, before I came here, I only knew how to speak Portuguese and English, but now I'm learning Spanish as well.
The University of Miami has committed to keep diversity at its highest level. The university has also fully funded the Student of Color Symposium, created by the Office of MSA. The U has expanded their community outreach and plan to create a Center of Global Black Studies. We should embrace our different cultures, music, hair, and looks. We should embrace and celebrate each other always. It's all about the U. Diverse U.